Good day, gamers. Today, damage zones and heal zones. Let's go. All right, folks. So we should have a prefab called damage zone. If you don't have one, please go ahead and go look at lesson 7. Okay. So let's go ahead and bring in that damage zone. All right. Doesn't really matter where it goes. And we're going to be creating a script for this. But first, we have to make a way for this to sense whether or not the player is entering like it's sort of like territory. So box collider. All right, so box collider 2D. Well, not box collider, box collider 2D. We're going to go ahead and set it to is trigger because we don't want to have it so that the player can't enter it. And we're going to set here auto tiling. That's going to make it so that no matter how we resize this thing, it's going to still continue with that. Okay, so let's go ahead and write that script. So let's go to our scripts folder and we are going to create a script called damage zone. Really creative title. So let's go here, create mono behavior script, and we're going to call this capital D damage zone. Okay, so here we go, damage zone. All right, and we're going to open it up. Now we can kind of cheat. Let's go ahead and open up our health collectible script. Okay, because in our health collectible script, we basically sensed if the player was like kind of entered the health collectibles box collider. And if that happened, we wanted to add health. So we can kind of take this logic and we can grab it. So let's go ahead. Let's grab. So right now we're in health collectible.cs. We're going to grab here where it says here on trigger enter. So we want to go ahead here whenever they basically enter the box collider. We're going to just grab this whole thing here. Okay. Oh, we have one more curly bracket. Okay. So grab that and we're going to copy that. Let's go back to damage zone and we can actually kind of get rid of update and start. All right. And then we can just paste this in. Okay. So now this is damagezone.cs. We can get rid of the logic that's checking to see if the player is at full health because of course we want it so that eventually this is going to be something that can like kill the player. So let's go ahead and get rid of this and statement. Okay. And then we're going to set it so that change health, instead of getting a positive one, we're just going to get here a negative one. And then we don't want to destroy the damage zone tile. We want to keep it. So let's go ahead here. Let's save that. And we need to go back to Unity. We're going to attach it. Okay, and so now let's go to our damage zone, like game object. Let's go to our scripts, and then where it says damage zone, let's add that. Okay, so now we've got that added. So let's go ahead, give it the old testaroo. Okay, and let's see. And there we go. So it is damaged. Now, perfect. So that's going in there. The other thing we're going to do too is, and I did this during my sort of test lesson, is let's go here to our player controller. Okay. And then where it said int current health, I think initially it was set to 3. Get rid of that. Okay. And then we had commented out this line here where it changed our current health to the max health. Make sure that is good to go. Cool. All right. So now that's one thing, we want to make sure that the player starts off at full health. Cool. All right. So our damage zones works. But the problem is this, is that like when we are just chilling here, like I'll change the draw order so that we can play, but like we want it so that like the player is continuously taking damage. So we're going to change a couple things in the player sorry, in the damage zone. We're going to add and the script that's attached to it. So first of all, let's fix the draw order. So let's go here where it says like order and layer. So right now we're on damage zone where it says order and layer. I don't know. Let's set this to -1. And then let's go to our player character and like let's move him. Let's just make sure that like yeah, there we go. Cool. We want it to be over. Okay. So anyways, damage zone is good. We're going to add a new component though. We're going to add a rigid body 2D. Okay. And then where it says here, our body type, we're going to keep to dynamic. Okay. Collision detection, we're going to keep discrete. Sleeping mode We're gonna set it to never sleep, okay? Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna update our damage zone function. We're gonna change it. So right now, let's go to our damage zone.cs, okay? And we're gonna change it from like if it senses we are in the like it's gonna change it from going off the box collider to going with the physics. Okay, so where it says void on trigger, enter 2D, we're going to say here on trigger stay 2D. Okay, so and then what we'll do is we keep essentially the rest of the script the same. Just it's lowercase o. No, it is uppercase O. My apologies. Let's go ahead and make sure you've got that. On trigger stay 2D, collider 2D other, and then the rest of it is the same. So let's go ahead and save that. All right, and let's test. This should be continuously draining our health. And the last thing we have to do is go ahead to their damage zone and make sure that we've got it set up so that when we go to our rigid body 2D, that gravity is set to 0 because we don't want it to fall. So let's go ahead and do that and let's test. Cool. And it immediately killed us. Okay, so it's basically setting it up so that we are going to be, we immediately die. We will come back to this in the next lesson, but it's working. So it's basically like it is continuously draining our health. So we're gonna go ahead and enhance this script as well as create a second prefab called a healing zone. So let's go ahead and first of all, let's enhance this a little bit. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and this is going to be, we're in our damagezone.cs. We're going to go ahead and create a variable. Okay, so let's call this public. Let's zoom in a little bit. Public, and then we're going to declare this as an integer. And then we're just going to say here, we're going to call it power. Okay, and we're going to say initially is going to be equal to -1. And then let's do a semicolon. Let's save that. Then where it says here change health, we're going to put that variable here. All right, so now what this will do, and we go ahead here to our, this will be important later. We've got our damage zone. And now here where it says here, our damage zone, initially that is going to be set to -1. The idea here is that eventually, and we'll enhance like our health pickup script as well. Eventually we can set it up so that our damage zones could have like differing levels of like deadliness. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a script called heal zone. All right. We're going to create well, let's do an object first. Okay. So this is sort of like a recap from lesson 7. I'm going to use some of the environmental stuff from the Sugarland project. Okay. This is going to be like sort of like, here we've got a damage zone tile. I'm going to make a heal zone tile. So I'm going into the Sugarland project folders and I don't know, the chocolate chips, whatever, man. I don't know. There's no right answer. And I'm going to go ahead. I played with this earlier. I'm going to keep the pixels per unit to 100. If you wanted to, you could change it to 164 because that is the kind of the size of this sprite, but I like how it goes. The mesh type we're going to set to full rectangle, and then we're going to just click on apply. And then this is going to eventually be, I know this says damage zone for our environment in Sugarland, but I'm going to make this the heal zone. I think it makes sense. I don't know why chocolate chips would hurt you. Anyways, order and layer, we're going to set to -1. And then let's go ahead to where it says draw mode. We're going to say tiled. And then our tile mode is going to be adaptive. We're going to do the same thing we did before as far like with our damage zone. We're going to add a rigid body 2D. We're going to set that gravity scale to 0. And we're going to also add a box collider. We're going to set that box collider to is trigger. And then our, where was it? Auto tiling. There we go. So then there we go. That's going to be set up so that when we draw, if we want to expand this sort of item here, it will eventually, like, we can, change the size of it. So, and where it says here damage zone 1, let's call this heal zone. Heal zone. Cool. All right, so now let's go to our scripts folder, and we're going to do the same thing here. Create, we'll say mono behavior script. We're going to call it heal zone. All right, and then let's go ahead. We'll open it up here in a second. All right, so we got our heal zone, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to go to our damage zone. I'm going to just zoom out here a second, and we're going to grab that on trigger stay 2D, oh, as well as power. Okay, so let's just grab all that stuff. Okay, so for me, it's lines 6 through 22. And we're going to go to our heal zone script. We're going to paste this. And then here where it says int power, we're going to put this to keep that as a +1. And now let's save it, and then we'll attach it. Okay, and so what we'll do then is we need to attach our heal zone script to this. Okay, and now that's going to heal us for +1. So moment of truth. Oh, did I set to is trigger? I did. Okay, good. All right, so we have our player. He's going to die. Let's check out our chocolate chips. He's going to live. All right, this is where we're going to leave off. In the next lesson, we're going to basically make it so that we have some invincibility. We want to have some invulnerability frames so that we don't automatically die the second we go into a damage zone. And yeah, good stuff. I wish you the best of luck.